Hello everybody from Plant Reviews UK. Today is the 20th of April, and in this video I'm talking about one of my absolute favorite Cattleyas. It is a gorgeous scent, the one that I have, and this is Cattleya intermedia varieties alba. Cattleya intermedia gets the specific name intermedia for the intermediate so-called size of the flowers that are about that can be up to 9 centimeters across, so it is a medium size for the flower of a Cattleya, and for the name for this variety alba means in Latin white. Indeed, as you can see, this plant is absolutely wild except a little bit hint, a very light hint of yellow in the inner part of the lip. This Cattleya is, of course, like all Cattleya, belongs to the family Orchidaceae, the orchid family, and it is known for being an extremely variable species in flower color. Indeed, varieties of this species can have a really wide range of colors between purple, lavender, and of course white. In addition, there are other colors. You can see this is the typical flower of the Cattleya intermedia varieties alba. That of course is a lot better to see in real life. However, there are also other colors of this species, not only for the color itself, but also how the colors vary in the same flower. Indeed, you can see this is an orlata variety with this very intense magenta color on the lower part of the lip as well as the edge of the lip. Or, for example, the aquinii that has these beautiful splashes of color on the top of the petals and as well as the bottom of the lip, and has been widely used for hybridizing Cattleyas, in producing the color Cattleyas. And also there are some cerulean variety as well. There is this intense purple color in the colored part of the lip of the Cattleya intermedia flower. This species is a species that grows in South America, in particular southern Brazil, so from the area to Rio de Janeiro down south to the border to Uruguay, as well as also in Uruguay. Due to the quite southern distribution of this species, is also a species that can handle temperate climates, and I found that can survive temperatures as low as about 10 degrees Celsius for short periods. It is really an adaptable Cattleya. It is a very compact grower. This plant is grows up to a maximum of about 20 centimeters tall, and as you can see, the pseudobulbs are very peculiar. They are very long and thin, and the sheath of the pseudobulbs cover almost the entirety of the pseudobulb, goes basically up to the leaves. As you can see, usually in other Cattleyas the sheath of the pseudobulb grows until about half or 2/3 of the pseudobulb, and I found that this is actually quite a typical feature in the Cattleya intermedia, as by the pictures I've seen on internet about other plants as well. The flowers usually bloom between March and April most of the times. However, are reported also to bloom in late spring and summer. The flowers are very elegant. Well, like all Cattleyas, I would say this is not an exception. I really love the elegance of the flowers of all Cattleyas, but however, in comparison to other Cattleyas, especially the big ones, the unifoliate, this one has narrower petals, as you can see. This one important thing that I forgot, belongs to the bifoliate group of Cattleyas, so-called because usually each pseudobulbs produces two leaves. Occasionally they can produce only one leaf, for example, if conditions are suboptimal, not really great. Or in some other occasions, like in this case, I believe the orchid decided to spend more energy in the flower than in the leaf, while last year instead decided to spend all the energy in producing two leaves rather than a flower. However, as a rule, this plant produces two leaves per pseudobulbs, but occasionally not only this species, other bifoliate Cattleyas as well can produce only one leaf per pseudobulb, but it's really not the rule. This is usually, again, it's something that shows that something is not going not going excellent in the cultivation conditions. However, I'm glad that regardless the production of only one leaf on this pseudobulb, my Cattleya this year decided to bloom. This Cattleya didn't bloom for actually a few years. This is the first time it blooms after I bought it, after about, I believe, 4 or 5 years. And I think because I transplanted the plant in probably the wrong period. I thought that was putting new roots in that period, but actually didn't. So what happened that I set back the growth of the plant. You can see this is an old pseudobulb and is quite long, while the newer ones were a lot shorter and thinner. This one didn't even open the leaf. However, in the past couple of years, the bulbs became progressively longer and sturdier. And of course, this year I'm really pleased that this Cattleya finally bloomed again. And I remember I bought it for its gorgeous fragrance, and indeed it is incredible. This the fragrance is very citrusy. Yeah, I would say citrusy and sweet, but I would say that the citrus note is the most important in the fragrance of this orchid. It is a medium intensity. It doesn't really make my whole room smell of citrus, but when close to the orchid, I can definitely smell this wonderful scent. I already said about the flower shape, so the petals and tepals are quite narrow in comparison to other Cattleya species. However, the lip is still quite frilled, as many other Cattleyas. Of course, is a smaller lip than, say, big flowered Cattleyas like Traiane or Varshavicii, so is not as much frilled as the big unifoliate Cattleyas. However, I still love these beautiful flowers. The number of flowers is usually 2 to 4 per inflorescence. However, I also found some sources report up to 7, but most of the articles I read about this Cattleya all state that usually produces 2 to 4 flowers. So this number of flowers is really the pretty average, well, on the low number, but still normal for a Cattleya intermedia. About the cultivation. The cultivation of this plant is pretty easy. It does great in bark. However, I converted in semi-hydro about 3 or 4 years ago. Again, when you convert to semi-hydro, please ensure that the plant is putting new roots, because the old roots will rot in the new medium because it's very wet, and only the new roots will adapt to the new medium and will get used to the overall more humid environment. Usually Cattleyas need to be kept dry. If they're in bark, they need to get dry in between the waterings. Again, I didn't probably repot it in the right period and set back the plant, but really now is growing a lot. Another thing I want to explain about this plant is that, in my opinion, is not really a sunlight eater like other Cattleyas. Many Cattleyas, you know, like very bright light, but some of them really can even handle and actually are much better in my conditions in the United Kingdom in full sun. I have Cattleya varieties and Cattleya Dowiana in a south-facing windowsill all year round, including in summer, and they absolutely love it, as well as my Rincolelia digbiana. There is not a Cattleya, but it's still an orchid related to Cattleyas, it's a close relative. However, Cattleya intermedia belongs to a group of Cattleyas that, in my opinion, don't really like too much intense sunlight, and the result is that when I found that the plant was a bit set back, I decided to put it in a south-facing windowsill. However, even if I did it in winter when the light was quite low, of course, in winter in the UK, when spring arrived, the leaves still couldn't handle such sunlight, and they got some sunburns. So now the place I am cultivating this plant on is my east-facing windowsill, with some other Cattleyas that I found don't really like too much sun, like for example the Cattleya maxima here, as well as other two beautiful varieties of fragrant Cattleyas, my Potinara Burana Beauty, now ring Cattleante Burana Beauty, and my Brassolelio Cattleya Burdekin Wonder Lakeland. This is a great position for the Cattleyas that don't really like too much sun, and they are really growing and blooming well. Talking again, going back to this Cattleya, I usually fertilize it once every 2 to 4 weeks with Orchid Focus. Is a fertilizer that I found very good for my Cattleyas. And I use it obviously according to the instruction of the fertilizer. Remember to not over-fertilize orchids, because they are quite sensitive to over-fertilizing. About this orchid, what can I say? This is one of the orchids that I love the most, and of course I would like to recommend you for the sheer beauty of its flowers, as well as for the wide range of colors available on the market. About, however, a few more words about the fragrance and about the shape of the flower. Usually, again, Cattleya intermedia has pretty narrow tepals and sepals. However, there are some selections that have a much rounder flower. About the fragrance of this Cattleya, I've found that different growers have different experiences. Some of them love the fragrance of this Cattleya. They indeed compare it to citrus or to rose. However, some others are not able to detect any fragrance of this on this Cattleya. Remember, fragrance is a very variable feature in plants in general, and of course in orchids. So the best way to choose a fragrant orchid, of course, is to smell it. If it smells and you like the smell, is great. However, remember that some orchids, even in species that are widely known for being very fragrant, some species actually might not not be very fragrant. My Rincolelia digbina, for example, has a very, very faint scent of citrus, and it bloomed already twice, so I'm not too sure if actually we'll need to bloom a few more times to get its beautiful, intense scent I bought it for. And some other varieties might just not be fragrant. I know there is on the market a Brassavola nodosa, that again is one of the most fragrant orchids on the market, that actually is not fragrant. So unfortunately, fragrance is not sometimes a very reliable character in some orchids. In this orchid, in my orchid in particular, also the fragrance is not really detectable until a few days after blooming. After the orchid was fully bloom, this plant started smelling beautiful only after like 5 or 6 days, and before that I couldn't detect any fragrance. Usually orchids, when they are open, need a couple of days to actually smell, to show their fragrance, but actually this one took a lot longer. However, again, if you find Cattleya intermedia on the market, I would definitely recommend it for the easiness of culture. Really, really easy. And of course, if you like collecting different colors of orchids, Cattleya intermedia, as I showed you in this video, is one of the most variable species, and I'm sure you will find a color that you will love. As usual, I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you like this video, would be great if you can please give a thumbs up, and if you like this video, any other videos on my channel, would be great if you can please subscribe to support my channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.